is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
If Bud was the best, I got to give it to him. Bud the best, right? He hands down, he the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him his respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion, but I've only won one of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Stephen A. Smith pushed back against Floyd Mayweather's attempt to downplay Terence Crawford's victory over Canelo, arguing that what Crawford achieved was nothing short of historic. He emphasized that no fighter has ever become undisputed in multiple weight divisions the way Crawford has, and that such a feat cements his legacy beyond debate. Smith called Crawford's win over Canelo a defining moment that elevated him into the conversation of all-time greats, insisting that Mayweather's criticism cannot diminish the magnitude of Crawford's accomplishment.
Is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power. He used his jab, he used his distance.
Jeff Mayweather didn't hold back when discussing the shock Crawford delivered to Canelo, stressing that the loss will forever impact Canelo's legacy. He noted that Canelo had been the undisputed king of the division, carrying both dominance and status, only to be humbled by a fighter who moved up in weight to challenge him on his own turf. To Jeff, this wasn't just a minor blemish, but a lasting stain on Canelo's record. He underlined that great champions are remembered for defining moments, and for Canelo, that moment became a crushing defeat at the hands of Crawford.
But either way, he was in discussion certainly with Chavez. What did this do to his legacy? Because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on him because even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. Because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing, losing a guy come up a couple weight classes, kind of makes you seem not as great as you might have been.
Stephen A. Smith was blown away by Crawford's victory, openly expressing his admiration for what he called a truly historic moment. Being there in person made it even more profound for him, as he emphasized that no one in boxing history has accomplished what Crawford just did, moving up in weight to dominate a reigning champion like Canelo. Smith described it as a career-defining achievement that cements Crawford's place among the sport's elite, declaring that this night will forever be etched into boxing history. To him, it wasn't just another fight, but a monumental redefinition of what greatness means in the ring.
This was Terence Bud Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions, really 3 in my mind, because he only fought 1 fight at the junior middleweight division. So he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence Bud Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now, I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick Khan of the WWE.
Crawford's trainer was adamant after the fight that his fighter has nothing left to prove. He stated that Terence has reached a level where respect should be automatic. Yet some critics continue to withhold it. That frustration highlighted how, even after dismantling one of boxing's biggest stars, Crawford still faces battles beyond the ring. The trainer made it clear that Crawford isn't even thinking about his next opponent, because what he achieved against Canelo is more than enough to secure his greatness. For Crawford, this moment wasn't about chasing names. It was about leaving behind a legacy that no one can dispute.
Terence Crawford and his well-renowned trainer, two-time trainer of the year and future Hall of Fame trainer, Brian Bomac McIntyre, recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford. And they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez. And if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to Boxing News 24.
Timothy Bradley delivered one of the boldest takes yet, drawing a direct comparison between Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. He argued that Crawford's name now deserves a place at the very top of the greatest of all-time conversation. For Bradley, this wasn't just about Crawford defeating Canelo. It was about redefining what pound-for-pound supremacy truly means. He acknowledged Floyd's mastery of the sport in his era, but insisted that Crawford is taken to an even higher level by beating Canelo at his absolute peak. In Bradley's view, this victory elevated Crawford into a realm reserved only for the sport's most legendary figures.
It might be too late now. It might be too late, because guess what? He done. Ain't nothing else he needs to do. Ain't nothing else he needs to do in boxing. Yep, y'all doubt him now? Y'all doubt him now? I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume down.
Roy Jones Jr. gave a balanced take, noting that unlike when Floyd Mayweather defeated Canelo, this time both fighters were at their peak. He explained that Floyd benefited from facing a younger, less experienced Canelo, using his superior skill and ring IQ to outclass him. Crawford, however, went up against a fully developed, battle-tested Canelo who had ruled his division for years. Despite being the smaller man, Crawford dismantled him. And for Roy, that makes the achievement extraordinary, because Crawford beat a stronger, wiser, and sharper version of Canelo than the one Mayweather encountered.
Generational great in Canelo Alvarez, really 3 weights above his natural weight class. Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does. And the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it. And he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we'd have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty much in a great place. I think they're both still in their primes, and this is the best time to see them fight.
Duke McKenzie was left stunned by Crawford's performance, saying Canelo had no answers for his relentless pressure, speed, and precision. He called it an unbelievable display, one of the most complete performances ever seen in modern boxing. McKenzie emphasized that Crawford not only claimed undisputed status, but also showed himself to be nearly unbeatable, even against elite opponents. Speaking with awe and respect, he made it clear that Crawford has now set a standard so high that few, if any, fighters will ever be able to match it.
Know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable. He's a 3-time undisputed world champion, and he's beaten the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build up to this fight. Canelo's body language in the run up to this fight, you know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable, and Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense. Went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. There's a discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close a round, knowing how to win rounds.